Hey everyone, the Motivational Professor here. And if you look over my shoulder, I'm going to give you massive value today on WTI, which is also our crude oil analysis. And if you also look to my left, I'm going to give you a bonus opportunity at the end of this video on US 30, also known as the Dow Jones. So if you can see here on the chart, we took a late trade here on Friday. We took advantage of the 5-minute time frame and we capitalized on this beautiful trade that went well over 100 points for take profit. So in today's video, you're going to get massive value on both charts. So again, I hope you'll watch this video until the end. Give it a thumbs up for a like, and let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so starting with our crude oil analysis, let's start with some of the latest news that we've seen happen. Obviously, we had our first weekly drop. We're going to talk about that in over 8 weeks due to some China demand worries. Wall Street closed a little bit mixed up. And then, of course, we do have some tropical disturbances and Hurricane Hillary out on the West Coast. So when you see those type of news, happening, then what's going to happen sometimes is that something like crude oil can definitely be impacted. If there was a storm or a hurricane moving into the Gulf Coast, for example, lots of petroleum that's drilled there. So again, that could have an impact on the supply opportunity of crude oil. So again, just things to keep in the back of your mind as you're hearing the headlines. But again, we are going to trade what we see and not just what we hear. So let's go ahead and jump back into the weekly analysis here. And again, as you can see here, right, we had our first weekly drop on crude oil. Okay, we had been up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks, and that was our first drop on crude oil. So again, we were bearish when it came to crude oil last week. Now, when you look at this weekly chart, what I want you to do is I want you to begin to train you to kind of look at price action. So when you see this chart over my shoulder on the weekly chart, I want you to go down to the comments below, and I want you to tell me if you think, based on price action, we are going to go higher or we are going to go lower with crude oil this week. Again, based on the chart that you see, do you think we are going to go higher or do you think we are going to go lower with crude oil this week? Okay, so starting on the weekly, I want to just give us a visual perspective because I think if you can kind of see what's happening, you give yourself an advantage to saying, okay, let me find my areas that I possibly want to look at for trade opportunities. So we can clearly see here, right, on the weekly that we have not been able to close above 82.82 or below 64.78. So we kind of have a range, right? And I think that's good when, especially if you are a newer trader coming into trading crude oil that moves a lot, that you start off with a range, right? We now know that on the weekly time frame, unless we go higher or lower than those two numbers in the chart, at least we have an area, right? We have a starting point. So that's going to be our starting point for our analysis today. And I'm going to kind of leave that up here as we kind of crawl down each and every opportunity here, right? So again, we can kind of go back in here now and we can kind of now fine tune this and clean this up a little bit here, right? We can see here we had a couple of touches. This here looks to be on the daily like a false breakout. But again, now looking at the daily time frame, like this really gives us perspective, right? We have a starting point on crude oil on the daily time frame. Like this is where we do our analysis, and this is where our strong areas of support and resistance begin to come in on the higher time frames. So if I were you now, what I'd want to do is go ahead and bring up your trading view chart and follow me and do exactly what I am doing, because this is going to give us some parameters. That's our parameter to the high end, and then this is going to be our parameter to the low end, right? And then what we are going to basically do, right, throughout the rest of this video is we're going to begin to walk it down time frame by time frame so you can get a full analysis on crude oil. That's the way you do the breakdown. You do your charting on the higher time frame and you walk it down. And then by the time we're done with this video, you are going to have entry opportunities on the smaller time frames. So we do our analysis on the higher time frames because that's usually where you find the stronger areas of support and resistance. But we're going to look for entry opportunities on the lower time frame, especially since most of the folks that are watching these videos are not really swing traders. You're looking for quick scalp opportunities, just like me in the market. So now let's go ahead and jump back into the chart, and we've kind of looked at where we were at on the daily time frame. So I'm going to make this a little bit wider because next thing we're going to do is we're going to drop down and let's just kind of get an 8-hour perspective, right? A lot of traders don't use the 8 hours, but I like the 8 hours as well, just to confirm congruence. And so you can kind of step back, right? A lot of people just want trades and they don't want to see the market on a wider time frame, meaning zooming out, right, to like a 30,000 foot view. Well, this is a 30,000 foot view, right? Imagine if you knew this going, in the last few weeks, that you knew that this was a strong area of resistance up here, right? You would be selling from these spots here, right? Vice versa. If you knew that these areas were strong areas of support, right? You would be buying from these areas here. And whether you're scalping it or holding it, you would have been very, very profitable. So again, these are the kind of things that I think each week, no matter what pair you are trading, it is worth your time to spend 20 minutes to marking these up just like I'm doing. So again, I hope this video will kind of work as a tutorial for you as well to do this and spend a little time versus just waiting to hit buy or sell. Okay, so this is kind of the 8-hour view. Now we're going to drop down to the 4-hour view because here we're going to start mapping out some interzones within our 4 hours, right? We're going to start looking for areas that are being impacted just from the naked eye, so we can begin to begin to have our zones in between these broader zones of the weekly and the daily as well. Now, to do that, what I like to do is go over to here and change the candles to the line chart. This allows me to see without all of the crazy wick action where I want to go ahead and mark up some of these zones. And so what I'm looking for as I scan across are areas where there's touches to both the top, as you can see here, right? And then the bottom, as you can see here as well. So you can clearly see here that we're in one of those defining moments right now. And again, I just want the big ones that stand out. There might be some other ones, but I just kind of want to get an idea here, here, here. Perfect. That's another zone. And I'll probably mark up 2 or 3 to each side so we can kind of get an idea. Because again, these are areas that you are going to see support and resistance that you may not normally see if you are just, into the market and you're not really looking at this from a bigger perspective. Now, this will all come a little bit clearer as we drop down in time frames. Okay, so again, this is kind of what we'll start with the week working from here, and I'm going to give you my opinion as we get near the end of the video. So now, as we drop down to the 1 hour, see what this allows us to do is to clean up some of these areas. Now, if you just look right here, right, and you're watching this video, what is this an example of, right? What is that an example of? So what I want you to do is, and again, I like my videos to be also teaching videos as well, tutorials. That's the educator side of me. So what you see on the chart there, right? Price went above the zone and came back to that zone. What is that called? And I'm going to be, going into the chats and the comments, and I'll respond back to you whether you're right or wrong. You're never wrong. You learn something. So what is this an example of that we call in the world of trading? When price goes above a zone and comes back to touch it before going back in that direction, what is that called? Drop that down in the comments below. So just off the naked eye, we can see here, right, how these zones have worked and kind of where we are right now when it comes to our support and resistance. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop one more visible area right in here. And again, remember, folks, that these areas are never a line, okay? Areas of support and resistance are never an exact point, meaning it's never exactly 81.24. Really, it's this. It's something like this. It's an area, right? It's an area right in here. That's why you find these are not just precise to the point. Okay, so we're at an area right in here. Now, as we look at this area, let me get rid of this right here. Okay, then we begin to do our analysis on the smaller time frame. Okay, on our smaller time frame. Now, if we kind of look at this starting point here, and again, just to give you different perspective, because traders all use different types of tools, and we drop a Fibonacci ratio right here. Now, again, this fib level, if you're not familiar, this is where this downslope started. So I want to take this high from the wick, and I want to go down all the way to where we began to reverse back up, which is right here. And that becomes our zero line. Okay. Looky here, looky here, looky here, right? One of the things that we look for is for rejection near the 61.8, right? That is kind of known in the kind of the trading world, right, as the golden reversal, right? The 61.8. Again, we can see price reversals at the 38 to 50, the 61.8, even higher than the 78 or 80. But for the norm, if you were to take a long piece of study, that's always a great area of value near or right at the 61.8. And that's kind of what happened here in this initial scenario right here. We can see right here that we came kind of near that 61.8, right? Really at the 50, rejected it, and then price did its initial drop. But now price has come back into this area right in here. So we need to wait to see basically if we are going to get a bullish candle to close above this area, which will then take us to our next Fibonacci level. So what I want you to do is to use these Fibonacci levels as areas of support and resistance because they do act as such. Okay, if you go back and you look here, right, we can see that price came back down to this area, which is also a zone right in here. Okay, so whether they're Fibonacci levels or zones, I'm giving you zones in between zones. Why? Because if you're a scalper, you should be looking to take profit near an area of resistance or near an area of support, right? Especially if you're up 20, 30 points. Again, we talk about it in my videos all the time. That's how I scalp crude oil, 20, 30 cents at a time in either direction. Take profits, wait for a retest or wait for it to come back to a key area. And I'm going to show you one more thing here in just a minute for an area of value. And then I look to re-enter, right? I don't leave profits on the table. I'm not looking to grab a 200-point swing. I want to take profits, get back in, take profits, get back in. That's the way I trade. That's the way I've been able to build my accounts. So again, just something that works for me and hopefully, it works for you as well. So now we have kind of a starting point. Okay, we kind of have a starting point, and we've confirmed that this is around the 61.8 area. So what I'm going to do, just to clear up the chart a little bit for you, is I'm going to go ahead and remove the Fibonacci ratio. Now I'm going to drop all the way down to the 15-minute chart because this is really the nuts and bolts of it right now. We definitely have strong zones that's already been built right in here, right? I don't need to show you that. All of you, I think, should be able to see that these are areas that have worked very well with areas of support and resistance to either side, right? So this is the areas that we are going to work on. So what I encourage you to do, let's put it back in here. Again, these are areas, right? What I encourage you to do, again, if you have not yet done so, what you want to do is you want to pause the video and you want to mark up your trading view chart as well. Now, one thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be sharing my trading view charts publicly inside of trading view. So you're going to see my trading view name come up on the screen. Again, go ahead and click on follow, and that's super easy to do inside of trading view. I'm going to be sharing, my name is right up here, Papa Pips 1970. And what you want to do is you want to go ahead and follow me on trading view, because what I'm going to start doing, and again, this is just a free bonus that I'm doing for my members as well, right, is I'm going to be publishing. So if you look right up here, we can publish our charts, right? I'm going to be publishing my trading view charts on trading view. So if you're following me and there's also a video attached to it, you'll get more value as well. And that's just something I'm doing extra for my trading community, but my members will obviously get a lot more value. So again, if you have not joined our Diamond membership, you may want to consider dropping $4 $4.99 a month. So you could have access to a lot more than this. Okay. So again, $4.99 a month, right? You're not going to probably find another channel that just charges a few dollars a month. My goal is to make this accessible to everyone in the world so you can come in and get extra value in our group. We do one live members training per week, and then we have our own private Telegram as well. That's for members only. Again, my goal is just to give you value over and over again. And if you talk to those folks in our group, they will tell you we are continuously over delivering, especially for that price tag. So consider that as well. So again, that's kind of what you can do, and you'll be able to get my charts as well on TradingView. So now let's kind of get into what we're looking for the beginning of the week. We have our zones established, and this really is going to be the key right here. Okay. So if I go here and I drop a Fibonacci, which you can do on every time frame, and we go from this high to this low, well, guess what? We are sitting at the 61.8. This is why for me right now, in order to go bullish to the next candle, we have to see a closure above this wick or this line right here. I'm going to change that line. I'm going to make that yellow. And this is why, because we're kind of in this area, we have not been able to close right in here. So I'm going to kind of remove this Fibonacci. I'm going to grab a text box and I'm going to kind of type in here. We don't need a 40 font. Let's make it 24, right? And I'm going to type in here, a candle needs to close above to go bullish. Okay. And so this is what I need for a confirmation, because if not, we can see this type of, scenario happening where price comes back up, rejects again, and then comes back down. Right. So I don't want that to happen to you or to me. So I need to have that extra confirmation that we're going to go to the next zone. So, we need to go bullish. Right. So what you can also do in this case, and I'm going to go ahead and change this now, is you can also have a buy stop here. Okay. So if you want to have a buy stop here, you could, which means price is going on the way up. It's going to go above this area, and we're going to go to the next zone. So if you want to be safe, you can do a buy stop, let's say right around 81.60, and you can take it up 20 to 30 points up in this area. Okay. Again, and you should always be protecting your trade. It's not something that I've talked a lot about. I will be doing some videos on it. Once you're up on crude oil more than 15 points, you should move your stop loss, if you have one, into break even, because crude oil moves fast and can turn it right around, right? You'd rather break even than to let a winner turn into a loser. That's why I go 20, 30 cents and I cash out my first position, and then I wait to see price action after that. But please don't let winners turn into losers. Protect your trade. And that's as simple as setting an alert. So you don't need to be watching your computer. You can set an alert on your trading view, and then you know when to go back in and move that stop loss if you're using a stop loss. Okay. So let's kind of go back in and let's begin to wrap up this analysis. We're going to talk about the gap now as we close the analysis on crude oil. And then I'm going to give you the bonus analysis on the US 30. So I'm going to kind of leave this here, right? You want to do a buy stop right in here. So what's going to happen with a Sunday gap? Well, again, we saw it last week, right? If we gap up, then price only has a couple of options here, because right in here, this is going to be our gap, which ironically is sitting at the 61.8, as we just talked about. So price closed here. So this is our gap. Price would need to come to 81.36 on TradingView. Again, keep in mind, and really this is for everyone, if I put out maybe even on the general chat in YouTube, hey, I'm looking to buy or sell this, I will usually put in the price of TradingView, because most people use TradingView, right? The price on my broker is always a little bit different. So I'm going to use the TradingView price as the overall price that I'll put in, since that's where I chart and I share my charts on TradingView. But again, you have to look at your own broker price, but the price action is usually the same with all the different brokers. So if we gap up, then we're looking at a scenario where price, may come up, right? Take out some sellers, and then eventually come back down to close the gap, right? And vice versa. If we happen to gap down, Let's say we gap down in here because people, they have a lot of contracts on the buy side. They may want to take out some stop losses. Then we come down to our next zone, and then we come back up to close the gap. So those are kind of the two gap scenarios. And again, what I do inside of our private members chat is when the market opens at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, if there's a big gap, I let my members know where I'm getting in and what we're doing. So again, just another advantage of joining for a few bucks a month into our members area. Now, I am looking for price here, and I'm going to add one quick indicator real quick because I want you to show you something, and it's going to be the moving, just a regular moving average simple. Okay, and I'm going to close this, and I'm going to go here, and I'm going to go ahead and change the setting, and I want it to be the 50. So this is what I call the area of value, and I want this to be a line, and I want this to be, okay, good. All right, we're good. So actually, let's change this to white. Oh, one may not see it. Okay, cool. Let's make it thicker. Okay, awesome. So this is where I'm talking about the area of value right in here. Okay, this is very, very important that you pay attention to because ironically, I put the sell here near the area of value. Okay, if we go back here, right, we can begin to see how the area of value that I call, or the 50-day moving average, obviously acts many times as support and resistance. So I like using the 50 along with the zone because in this scenario here, where we came off the zone here, we had some consolidation. Price eventually took off. The proper entry would have been when price retested this 50-day moving average right in here on a smaller time frame. Okay, so again, this is the way I like to use the 50-day moving average with support and resistance. It has to go above and beyond, and then there needs to be a retest as we did here to come back down. So this is the way I like to use the 50. And if you want a video on how to use the 50-day moving average along with zones of support and resistance, drop it down below in the comments. Go down below. I always use the wrong side. Go down below and type in 50-day moving average video, and I'll go ahead and give you a video on the 50-day moving average and how to use it with support and resistance, because what that does is that really reduces your risk to almost nothing to get better entries along the way. Okay, so that's kind of the two scenarios. So for me to go bullish, I need to be above 81.55. I have an alert set right here, so I can get in to go up for 20 cents, depending on what the market does. Because we are at a strong area of resistance and the Fibonacci level, I am not going to buy right here. I'm going to hope that we get this scenario, that we get price to come back down towards this 80.63-ish area, and then I'm looking to buy from this area, because what's going to happen there too is that the 50-day moving average will kind of be working in this direction. So it'll be a lot of positives with regards to my trading plan. Okay, and if you have no plan, then plan to fail. So again, we'll be talking more about trading plans inside of our members area. As a matter of fact, we had a training yesterday. We are going to be writing everyone's trading plan over the next couple of weeks in our Diamond members area. So those are the kind of the scenarios for crude oil. These are the zones that I like to scalp from. So again, if we get a bearish candle down here, I'm looking to buy here. And if price continues to drop, then I'll take a sell. And it's very common sometimes that we hedge trades in both directions as well, depending on what's happening with price action. So you've got a buy stop sitting here, okay? And then we're looking for a buy opportunity. Let me type that in here, right? This would be your next buy opportunity here, coming in off of this zone right here, okay? So that's it for the beginning of the week for crude oil. I usually will do 2 long analysis, but again, if you're not yet subscribed, you want to make sure you're subscribed. But more importantly for everyone is to turn on all YouTube notifications, because I am going to do analysis on YouTube Shorts as well. Quick 30 seconds, 45-second videos. Those are just going to be, hey, I'm looking to enter here, not only on crude oil, but a few other pairs as well, like the indices or gold. And again, you'll miss out on those if you do not have your notifications turned on. So make sure you do as well. So now what I want to do is I want to kind of jump into US 30, as I promised. I want to give you some value on that as well. So let's kind of get back here, and I'm going to go ahead and save this chart. And then I'm going to go over to US 30, and we are going to do a quick evaluation. Again, this was the trade that we took at the end of the day on Friday. Super nice trade to kind of wrap out the final few hours of trading. And again, just some news that have popped out. Again, U.S. stocks weekly storm. Again, everything's, people are talking about the storms. Wall Street closes mixed. And again, Wall Street books, again, weekly losses on Wall Street. So let's kind of get rid of these drawings. Let's kind of do a quicker analysis in this particular case on where we are right here. Now, you can see here that we have closed again on the daily. So if we just look right here on US 30, look at all these 1, 2, 3, 4. We've had basically 5 days of losses, okay? Number one, keep that in mind, right? Keep that in mind, okay? Number two is take a look at the 50-day moving average, even on the daily. We had a bounce, we had a bounce, we had a bounce, we had a bounce. Again, we had a bounce to the bottom, we had rejection, we had bounces, we had bounces. So again, 50-day moving average is an awesome tool to have, and it's pretty much the only tool that I use just to give me a visual as well. So we see the value there. Now, let me show you a Fibonacci from this low to this high. We are going to put that right here, and look at here, look at here, look at here. What have we been talking about, right? That's 61.8. So we can see how price, even though it came lower, we're sitting again near that 61.8. Right? That screams a lot of things to me, meaning we might be going bullish from here, right? We're going to see where price gaps open. So that's sitting on the daily time frame there. Now, we also have our areas of support and resistance that we can work from, and we can see here how the 61.8 definitely acts as an area of support in this case, right? The 100 level acts as an area of support in this one case. So again, that's why I like the fib levels. Let me jump right over to the 4-hour time frame so you can kind of get a perspective of where we are on the 4-hour. So again, you can clearly see how these fib levels have worked as good support and resistance. So I'm not even going to draw up zones for the US 30. I'm going to leave these fib levels, and these will be your areas of support and resistance. Now, again, we can see here how that when price came below the 50-day moving average and hit this area of support, which happens to be a Fibonacci level, kind of came back up towards the 50, a good selling opportunity here because we're under the 50-day moving average. We did the exact same thing here. We came back down to a zone. We came back up to the zone. We retested, and then we had further drop. So now we're in this area here where almost the opposite is happening. We came back up. We came back down to retest the zone. Again, remember, I just talked about it a few minutes ago. These are areas. A zone is never an exact line, right? These are areas. So the question is, are we going to bounce back up? In my opinion, we are going to have a positive week on the US 30. Okay. So again, we have to kind of wait to see what's going to happen with the gap. But again, if you want to, you should be able to pause your video, and wherever you see this Fibonacci level lines, you should be taking your areas of support and resistance, right? So again, we're going to wait for the gap. I am looking for a buying opportunity somewhere in here to go up, back up towards at least the 50-day moving average. Okay. Here we see the price kind of still coming down, right? So that would be my exit. If we come up towards the 50, I'm looking to exit near the 50-day moving average. Or again, if I've hit my 50 to 100 points on US 30, which is my trading plan, then I cash out as well. So again, and then I wait for some type of other confirmation. So for me, the US 30, unlike crude oil, I work it a little bit more because it works higher. I look for 50 to 100 points, but if I see price action beginning to reverse on me, then I will usually cash out, right? I don't leave profits on the table. I think that's so important to remember. So I'm looking for a buying opportunity here, but obviously we need to wait for the gap, right? There might be a large gap, but again, let me mark that here as we begin to wrap up this video that this is going to be our gap. This is where price closed for the day on Friday. That is going to be our gap. Again, as you can see here, right, this is the 4-hour mark here, okay? We had a strong push from this level right here. And let's go ahead and mark this right here. Right, you can see that right here, which happens to be a Fibonacci level, right? We had that strong push. Are we going to come back down to retest that? I don't know, right? Obviously, I do not know that. If I knew that, then I would bank the house on it. But I do know that this is an area here. I do know that this is an area here. So I'm going to trade, just like you should, what you see in these areas, right? These areas are key to your success because we can buy or sell. I'd rather take a small loss in one direction and then enter it in the opposing direction as well. So these are our areas here that we are working on with US 30. This is where you should be looking the entire way. We are sitting behind the 50-day moving average. And I'll give you one final perspective here on the hour mark. We are coming back into the zone as we talked about, right? But again, these key areas, right? 34,670, 34.44. Some people believe that we are going to come back down towards this 3,400 psychological area to retest, and we might, right? But I'm looking for entries near these areas of support and resistance, and so should you, as well. So again, we'll definitely be giving you more analysis on US 30 and the other pairs inside of our YouTube Diamond members area. So I hope you got some value today. If you did, you can definitely help me out by smashing the like button. If you're brand new here, this is the type of evaluation that we do each and every week, multiple times a week. So not only do you get some type of good feedback, but maybe you also learn one or two things. We have a lot of videos coming up, lined up. My goal is to be able to introduce newer traders to stay in the game longer, right? For me, it's been 7 years because I've learned about risk management. I've learned about taking small trades, taking small profits. The reason why people quit trading is because they rack up a series of losses month after month after month. They watch all these different people, they pay all this crazy amount of money out there. And then at the end of the day, it's up to you to hit buy or sell. But if you're steered in the right direction with the right people, with the right like-minded people, humble, you're not going to see flashy cars. You're not going to see flashy houses. You're not going to see flashy jewelry on my channel. Just pure evaluation, pure value. So hopefully something will click. I answer all questions within 24 hours. If you're in our Diamond members area, we're going to walk your hand and we're going to walk you through setting a broker, getting your account activated, trading demo, trading live, taking small profits with good risk management. Right? From 10 cents a pip to whatever amount of dollars per pip, grow your account slowly. I'm going to share a chart with you in the private members area to show you exactly how much you should be winning per day based on your account and when you need to stop trading for the day. That's one of the biggest mistakes we've all made, especially as newer traders. We have a couple of nice wins and we're done percentage-wise for the day, but we want to keep trading. We want to keep trading. You'll never hear me talk about dollar amount, talk about growth amount. I grew my account 1%. 2%, 3%, whatever the case is. That's where you measure your success. It's not in your dollar amount, but in your percentage amount, right? Some people have some weird 80, 90% growth goals for the month. That is not sustainable. It's attainable if you have poor risk management, but it's not sustainable in any market. Because if that was the case, people would be making a lot more money in this market. Yet the rumor is that over 90% of people fail in Forex. And I think it's because they have these unreachable goals of these high percentages that are just not attainable. Professional traders who trade $1 million accounts look for 1% a month on their customers. And here we are saying we want to grab 10% a day in the Forex market. The market is not your friend and it's not an ATM. It's a place to come in, learn, be humble, grab a little bit of profits, and build your account slowly that way so you can use those funds to travel for college, pay your electricity bill, not live paycheck to paycheck. And that's the type of person that I'm aiming here. The person who's paycheck to paycheck. Let me help you make an extra $10, $15, $20 a week at first, and then we grow from there. Okay? So thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.